The morning sun washed over the countryside like molten gold, settling on wide fields that shimmered with life. Birds darted between rows of crops, and the warm breeze carried the earthy scent of soil freshly turned. But amid the beauty of the landscape stood a man who looked as if time itself had pressed its weight onto his shoulders. Ethan Miller, with hands roughened by years of labor, lifted crates of vegetables into the back of his faded, dent-scratched truck. Each movement was deliberate, almost meditative, yet shaped by exhaustion he never let anyone see. From across the quiet market road, a few townspeople lingered, whispering behind their cups of morning coffee, their smirks sharper than any weapon. They watched him every morning, and every morning he pretended not to notice. But today, something shifted. The deep engine hum sliced through the calm air. Heads turned as a black luxury car, polished like obsidian under sunlight, glided into the dusty lot. Its doors opened with an expensive click, and Michael Grant stepped out, wearing sunglasses that reflected the entire market like a mirror. He looked around as if the place smelled of humiliation, then fixed his gaze on Ethan. "What a sight," Michael announced, loud enough for the whole market to hear. "Still playing farmer, Ethan? Still pretending this? Life is worth anything." The laughter that followed wasn't loud, but it was sharp, the kind that cuts from a distance. Ethan froze, one crate still in his hands. His shoulders tightened, though his face remained calm. Inside, memories flickered like old film. Endless bills stacked on the kitchen table, the drought that nearly destroyed his fields, and the soft voice of his late wife urging him to hold on just a little longer. He swallowed hard and kept loading, but Michael wasn't finished. He stepped closer, tapping his polished shoes against the dirt with disgust. "Look at those boots," he sneered. A grown man covered in mud, acting like he's building something real. "You're a nobody, Ethan." A man one step away from losing everything. A couple nearby chuckled under their breath. The sun felt hotter now, the air tighter. Ethan set the crate down gently, wiped his hands on his jeans, and lifted a small folder from the passenger seat of his truck. He held it close to his chest, almost defensively, as if the papers inside were more precious than anything he owned. No one had ever seen what was in that folder, not even the few friends he still had left. But what happened next would shock everyone watching. Michael stepped forward again, invading Ethan's space with the smugness of a man convinced he owned the world. "What's that?" he asked mockingly. "Your eviction papers? Or maybe a letter begging for another loan you'll never pay back?" Ethan didn't move. He didn't flinch. Instead, a different kind of expression washed over him, one that silenced even the whispers behind them. It wasn't anger. It wasn't shame. It was controlled certainty. A look of a man who knew something no one else understood. Michael hesitated, confusion flickering behind his tinted glasses. For the first time, the air shifted in Ethan's favor. He stepped closer, his voice low but unwavering. "You know," he said, almost gently, "you really shouldn't make assumptions about what a man owns." Michael's smile vanished. The market went silent, and as Ethan turned away, clutching the mysterious folder, one thing became clear. Whatever he was hiding, it was big, very big. The truth behind those papers would soon leave the entire town stunned. The sunlight stretched across the valley like a glowing ribbon as Michael stood frozen, still replaying Ethan's chilling words in his mind. The market noise faded behind them, replaced by the steady crunch of gravel under Ethan's boots as he walked away with that mysterious folder tucked beneath his arm. For the first time that morning, Michael wasn't laughing, and the crowd wasn't whispering. There was something different in the air, an unspoken tension, a shift so subtle yet powerful that even the breeze felt heavier. And when Ethan stopped at the edge of the lot and quietly motioned for Michael to follow, curiosity began gnawing at the businessman's pride. Michael hesitated, torn between arrogance and curiosity, but something in Ethan's expression pulled him forward. The two men moved toward the sweeping open fields beyond town, sunlight warming the hills in a golden glow. But what happened next would shock everyone watching. The moment they stepped off the main road, the surroundings began to change. What Michael had always assumed was abandoned land now showed signs of recent activity. The grass was flattened in places, small flags were planted in rows across the soil, and further ahead, a gravel path appeared, freshly laid, untouched by weather or time. Michael's confidence wavered. Ethan walked steadily, neither rushing nor explaining, his calmness more unnerving than anger ever could have been. A few hundred feet in, the valley opened into a clearing that Michael had never seen. Sunlight bounced off metal fences hidden behind tall shrubs. Workers in protective gear moved methodically inside the secured area, carrying tools, scanning the ground, and talking in low voices. Michael blinked, confused. This was supposed to be empty land, forgotten, useless, ignored. Yet here it was, organized, bustling, secure. And every sign pointed to something far bigger than he expected. But what lay beneath those fences would leave Michael completely speechless. He finally broke the silence. "What is this?" he demanded, though the words carried more uncertainty than authority. Ethan didn't answer immediately. He approached a locked gate, greeted the guard by name, and stepped inside with the ease of someone who belonged, not the struggling farmer the town mocked every day. Michael followed, his heartbeat quickening with every step. And then Ethan spoke. "This land is mine," he said quietly. "All of it." Those 4 words carried more weight than the entire valley. Ethan opened the folder he had guarded so tightly. Inside were maps, geological reports, signatures, government seals, documents confirming the discovery buried deep beneath this hill, a massive vein of rare minerals, the kind used in high-tech industries. Worth millions upon millions. Michael stared at the papers, his mouth going dry. The workers, the fences, the secrecy. It all made sense now. Ethan, the man he mocked in front of the entire town, was wealthier than he could have imagined, but not in the way. Michael understood wealth, and what Ethan did next would redefine everything that he approached a temporary office set up under the shade of a large oak tree. Waiting there were representatives from an environmental foundation. Calmly, without hesitation, Ethan signed partnership documents that legally bound him to use the profits to restore farmland, upgrade irrigation systems, and support struggling families across the valley. Not a single cent for luxury. Not a single step toward revenge. Michael felt the sting of shame burn through him as he watched. Ethan didn't look triumphant. He didn't look smug. He looked at peace, as if this entire revelation wasn't about proving anyone wrong, but doing something right. Ethan turned to him one last time. "It's never about what a man shows," he said softly. "It's about what he stands for." Michael lowered his head, sunlight pooling around him like an unwanted spotlight, and as Ethan walked away, the truth settled like dust in the warm afternoon air. This valley held a fortune, but the richest thing in it was Ethan's character.